Hi guys, welcome back. So I have Distress Ink in Tattered Rose that we're going to use today. I've also got a Tim Holtz Sizzix Thankful, I think that's the name of the embossing folder, which I've just embossed on some white cardstock, all sort of ready to go. And then I have the Spellbinders Large Die of the Month for September 2022, and I'm going to use the like wagon part of that. And then I also have the August 23 Blooming Pomegranate Large Die of the Month, and we're going to make a thankful kind of card, like an autumnal card out of the pomegranates. So I'm just showing you some of the pieces that we're going to need to build up both of the large pomegranates. So I have a standard-ish, it's about an A2 size, and we're going to take the ink pad and go direct to paper and just drag it over the embossed or raised areas that the embossing folder created. This is a really old school technique, but it's such a cool one. And by lightly dragging it over there, the back of it, or the background, should stay the same color as the original piece of cardstock, which is the white. So I'm dragging back up and down, and then I sort of turned it sideways to go across, just to make sure I got all those raised areas, or as much as possible. Now this will dry back a bit, so it's not going to be this sort of quite intense color that you see here. It dries quite a bit lighter actually, but I like it. I just thought it was a cool thing to do with an embossing folder if you have a whole bunch of them and you don't know what to do with them. It's just another fun technique. So I could have inked the edges as well. That would have been cool, but I didn't do that. So I was trying to keep it simple because the main part of this is a lot of die cutting. So I grabbed some colors that I thought worked well together, and I'm just going to try and show you bit by bit how we put each piece together. So for this sort of more, I suppose, not opened pomegranate, I've got sort of quite a rich purple cardstock that I used, and I just went through my scraps and found colors that I thought would look quite good together. Just find what works for you. It may not work for someone else, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. And then for the solid area, so this was 2 dies. For the solid area, I used like a rich yellowy sort of color to add to that, just to the back, so that the little holes that it creates on the top piece, they then show through. And then we have like the stems, I guess. I don't know if that's what they are, but like the top of the pomegranate. I want to say the fluffy bit. That doesn't sound right, but anyway. And there's 2 parts to it. There's kind of like this, I actually thought it was going to go in the center there, and then I realized it actually pops off to the left. So it just gives a bit more dimension to this like stem type thing that's on the pomegranate. So I just layered that up. It's in the same color. I think it looks really cool, and it actually goes quite far down, so that sort of bottom edge sits quite a lot behind the main die cut piece, which you'll see here. So just sticking that on and then adding it in, and you'll see it just kind of leaves like it's like a little tuft of hair. So I did that in the same color as the sort of back of the pomegranate, and then just an acrylic block to hold in place while that glue dries. So for the second piece, or the sort of what looks like the open pomegranate, there's quite a few layers. So there's 3 sections to it, and there's 3 layers to those sections. And I'll show you the main piece in a minute, which is that peachy color piece. And that actually has, when you die cut it out, it actually has this section that like embosses or debosses into it, so you know where to put those pieces, so it makes it really, really easy. So yet again, Spellbinders for the win, making things real easy for us. And so I decided to start from the top down, from the bottom up, sorry, and just layer each section in one on top of the other. So there's a solid white piece that I used as the base for each part, and then I used again that same dark purple, really rich purple, for like the next layer up, and that's got smaller holes than the top layer, and you'll see as it comes together, you'll see how that works If you layer them wrong, you'll know that you have, because you won't see the color underneath that you should be seeing, if that makes sense. You'll see hopefully you'll understand that in a minute. So once I've done the white layer, which is the base, I then layer the dark purple on top, and that then shows through the little holes. It shows through the white that's underneath it. And then as we layer the sort of more like a deeper peachy kind of colour, it's more like, I suppose it's like a coral colour. When we layer that on top of the dark purple, you'll see even more of that will show through. The white and the purple will show through. So you'll see that in a second. So just getting the last of the purpley bits on. And they're really easy to layer. The shapes line up perfectly well. They're all exactly the same shape and size. So you just literally put them one on top of the other. Very easy. And it wasn't so bad with all the holes in it to get the glue on either, I thought. There was enough space around the edge to get enough adhesive on there, and then just a few dots in the middle just to hold it in place. So once we've done that, we'll then get the last layer, which is this corally colour, and it suddenly brings it to life. Now, if there's, apologies if there's anybody who has, and I can't remember what it's called, like a fear of holes, I think. Apologies, because I can imagine this might set someone off, so apologies in advance. That's not the idea behind this, but it just shows you all those different layers and colours that come through. So like I say, you'd know if you put the wrong colour on the wrong way around, because you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see that colour coming through. But I just think it's so cool. It looks very cool. So this is like the inside of the pomegranate. So once I've done that, I do have another little bit of tufted hair. That's what I'm going to call it. That will go on the top of it as well. And again, I did it in the same colour as the first one, in that sort of, it's like a rich yellow sort of colour. And now, of course, I know that that piece fits on top of it, so I added a bit more adhesive where it should have gone. And again, I'm just going to add some adhesive to the bottom of it, and then bring the pomegranate to it so that I can line up and get that on there. And once you've done like one or two of these, it's really easy. Spellbinders, as usual, make it really easy for us to put stuff together. So again, I'm just going to pop that under an acrylic block so that the layers, because there are multiple layers there, they can actually just adhere and hopefully dry somewhat flat. So the last thing I needed was my little wagon. Oh, other than the sentiment, was my wagon. So these are the pieces you need to make the wagon. There's 3 pieces for the wheels, this little attachment, which is actually what connects the tractor to the trailer. So I decided to put that on first. I thought it just added a little bit of something. You probably don't need it, but I thought it added something, so I added it in. And then for the wheels, I'm going to start with the wagon itself. So this is really easy. It's a little, it seems like a little weird, because where I'm putting the dots of glue is actually where the holes in the like planks of wood, and it does deboss some detail onto those little pieces, so it looks like wood. But as you're doing that, the glue's coming through the holes. So it still works, so it still adheres, but it just like confused me. I was like, did I actually glue this in the right place? But yeah, I did. But that helps you line them up, so that's kind of a good thing. And then what I did was I took the top one, and I left a bit of the like the black piece. I left some of that sticking out the top, so it looked like the top of the wagon. Not wagon, trailer. And then that just sort of, again, just gives it some more character. And then whatever gap was in the middle is where I then lined up the middle one. So I started with the bottom one, the top one, and then just lined up as straight as I could get it. You could put it on like wonky, like it's a broken trailer. That will work. And then just lining them up. It's really easy. It's the first time I've used this. You guys know I do this first time on camera, unless it's one I've had for a long time and I've used it multiple times. But this wagon, I haven't actually showcased this yet on, I've had it for a little while now, and the tractor, and I love it. And I can't wait to actually do something with it. I got it after the, it came out in, what did I say, September last year. September 22 as part of the monthly club kits, and I wasn't part of the club just yet at that point, so I actually bought it afterwards. So sometimes you can get some of the club stuff afterwards, but there's just no guarantee that you'll get all the parts and pieces, as in you might get the stamp set but you won't have the coordinating dies, or that kind of thing. So but they tell you very clearly on the website. So it's worth a look, because they also have a lot of good sales and things, which is also how I pick a lot of the stuff up. So once I've had the wheels just literally layer up. There's tons of detail on the sort of black portion of the wheel. It's just so clever. It debosses a whole bunch of things, and then has the, like I say, the extra detail on there. And then for the sentiment, there's two parts to it again. So I cut it out of that yellow, rich yellow, and the purple. So the sentiment itself, it's the same die, but to get the word thanks in it, you sort of layer your dies. So you have the sort of solid piece that you would cut out, and then you would add the word in there, and it's just so cool. And then you have the purple showing through. Showing through so it's easy to read. That's what I'm trying to say. There's some background noise going on, so it's a little distracting, sorry. So once I had that, I also put it under an acrylic block so that I could get it to just adhere and let the glue bond with the paper. And so while that's doing that, I'm going to add my embossed piece, which is drier now, and you'll see it should be lighter. It will be lighter than it was when we first inked it. And so I'm just popping that on the front of the card. This is about an A2 size card-ish. I can't remember if it's exactly an A2 size card. It might be a 4 by 5.5, I think, maybe. But it's about an A2 size. So it's just a little note card. I used to get so hung up on always having an A2 size card, and now I just I'm just rolling with it. So once I had that adhered, again, because it's a embossed piece of cardstock, I used some wet adhesive and also put some blocks on it so that it would again just bond better. Double-sided adhesive would work fine, but it may eventually dry out and pop off. So wet adhesive for some things is just better. So for my pomegranates, I want these large pomegranates in this wagon. I mean, trailer, whatever I'm calling it. And so I roughly worked out where they needed to be to fit in the trailer, so that, it makes it look like they're actually inside the trailer. And then I sort of glued the two of them together. And then I've worked out roughly where they need to stick. And I'm just going to sort of quote unquote put them in the little trailer using the adhesive, and that way they're not sticking out of the trailer, sorry, like in a weird place. So it actually looks like they're inside, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so once I had that done, my next thing is to pop them up. I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive on there, which I will do off camera in a minute. And also the thanks, everything's going to get popped up. I thought, why not? So it's only thin, it's about 1 mil thick foam at the back here. And I've added it, some places like on the wheels I had to double it up because of the thickness of the cardstock. So I'm trying to keep the whole piece as level as possible. So some areas had 2 lots, like double height foam, and some just a single height foam. Again, just to make sure that the whole piece is level as it can be, because you've got lots of different layers of cardstock and they're all sort of on top of each other at different places. So it's just trying to get that level. And then I'm just going to pop him in the middle-ish. And I didn't use the little like attachment on the trailer as a guide. I used the width of the trailer itself as a guide to where it was going to go in the center-ish of the card. And I was going to put the thanks up on the wagon, which you could do, whatever I'm calling it, seriously. But I decided that actually let's pop something up here, because it was kind of like that part, although it's embossed in the background, it was a little bare. So it just kind of balanced it a little bit more. So it's a very simple card, but it's an all die cut card, and I love doing these kinds of cards. I think they're very cool. So as you can see, there's the embossed detail with a bit of ink on it. Like I say, it's an old school technique, but it's such a cool thing. So do play with your embossing folders. And I hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.